a series finale on a Sunday afternoon in Lexington. First place Florida has scored 2 victories to open the series, and now Kentucky tries to secure a win in the rubber match to wrap up their first home weekend in SEC play. As we welcome you to John Kropp Stadium alongside the former Arizona great Jenny Dalton-Hill, I'm Noah Frary, and for the Florida Gators, 2 wins to begin this series, Jenny, and both of them punctuated by offense.
You're right. 21 combined hits over the 2 games, and for them right now, the bats are rolling. Kentucky's still trying to find their rhythm at the plate.
Well, those bats got going early and often, starting on Friday night with 3 home runs.
Florida leads the country in doubles and walks, but the home run has been the story for the Gators this weekend. In Game 1, they had home runs by Cassidy McClellan, Madison Walker, and capitalized by a 3-run shot by Jocelyn Erickson to finish out the scoring. Caitlin Oxley in Game 2 kept the Wildcat bats quiet. She had a 7 strikeout performance, 5 scoreless inning, and then the long ball was back on display for the Gators. Jocelyn Erickson, second home run of the series, and Cassidy McClellan tagged a solo shot to finish out the scoring for Florida in Game 2.
Florida 2-0 to begin the weekend, 5-0 in SEC play, tied with Texas at the top of the league standings through 2 weekends. Kentucky going back to Haley Nutter in the circle after she started Game 2 yesterday.
And we talked about the big load that this freshman has taken on this season, and Rachel Lawson thinks that she has shoulders wide enough to bear it. She's already thrown 2 no-hitters this season.
Well, she will go up against a Florida lineup that has given Kentucky pitchers trouble this weekend. Townsend Thomas has had a huge weekend on a 13-game hitting streak. She will bat 6th today.
She's sitting on a 4-for-6 performance with 3 doubles. She has been so important for them sitting in the middle of the lineup. Tim Walton says she's like a second leadoff hitter for them down in the middle of the lineup. So not only can she start things off for them in the middle, but she can hit for power and get those ribbies down in the middle.
And unsurprisingly, she has come up as that leadoff hitter multiple times through the first 2 games of this series. Taylor Shoemaker stepping in the midst of a career-long 11-game hitting streak. And a first pitch ball for Haley Nutter. What can we expect from Kentucky's talented freshman?
We've seen her throw in the upper 60s during her young career, and her drop is her best pitch, but she needs that pitch to really stay on the corners. Her changeup sits the best at the knees and gets the swing and miss.
Haley Nutter, the talented freshman, getting the start in Game 2 yesterday. Did not make it out of that 3rd inning. Through 2 innings, gave up 3 earned runs and a home run. Trying to bounce back in just her 3rd appearance against an SEC opponent in her young career. 2-0 misses wide to Taylor Shoemaker.
We've seen Kentucky pitchers try to get ahead early against Florida batters, and in Game 1 of this series, that getting ahead played to their advantage because the Florida hitters continued to just wait and sit with what they've called disciplined aggressiveness at the plate. Later in the game, they were more aggressive and more successful.
It really felt like, Jenny, that second time through the batting order for Florida on Friday is when things started to shift, as they got a little bit more aggressive against this Kentucky pitching staff.
I think it was actually a little bit sooner than that. It was the 2nd inning when they realized that Florida pitchers were trying to attack early, so the hitters started getting the bat off the shoulder earlier in at-bats.
3-1 to Shoemaker, misses inside. No, that caught the corner.
I love the way that Nutter is settling down into this at-bat. Nutter started way wide of the zone with a 3-0 to start this one, and then coming right back at the corners with her bread and butter down in the zone.
An early payoff pitch from the freshman. 3-2, punch the other way. Hanson gives it a look, and Jenny, you have to imagine the wind could factor in at some point today. We've seen gusts as high as 20 miles per hour here in Lexington to begin the day.
And those balls to left have given Kentucky and Florida a little bit of an issue, but with the ball in the air out there to left with the wind whipping from right to left, it makes it difficult to read off the bat.
Shoemaker spoiling a couple of tough pitches. She's seen a ton of pitches in this series, over 5 pitches per plate appearance over the first 2 games of this series. Professional hitter leading things off for Florida. Shoemaker drives this one to center field. Riddell's back on it, and it's on the berm in center. And Florida strikes again here in the first inning.
That ball was completely squared up, Noah. The way that she attacked that at bat, you mentioned it, a professional at bat. She started with a very disciplined eye, letting the ball get away and out of the zone. But then as Nutter settled in and tried to attack corners down in the zone, man, Shoemaker, huge swing. That is a no-doubter out on the berm in center. These Florida hitters continue to do damage, and it is just the first inning. That's their 6th home run of the series.
And that has been a theme throughout this series. Florida hitters, particularly to the top of this lineup, a lot of damage, 458 average, 5 extra base hits, make it 6 now with the early home run from Shoemaker. And Jenny, that's exactly what you want to see out of the top 4 in your lineup.
You do. You want to see the table setters get on, the big bats show up. But the thing about this Florida Gator lineup is at the top of the lineup, they're not just table setters. They swing with a ton of power, and this hitter right here has shown more power this season than in any of her previous 3.
Erickson, a consensus top 3 catcher in the game collegiately heading into the season. Putting together the best year of her career in her senior year as she eyes future plans.
And
2-1 high.
I think it's crazy to say that this is her best season of her career, but you're right. If you think back to her going in 2024, it was her first year in the SEC, and she was named SEC Player of the Year. This year, hitting home runs at a faster clip than ever before.
3-1 will miss inside. It's a walk to Erickson. And to your point, she's got a kitchen cabinet full of awards in her career. Was the NFCA Catcher of the Year 2 years ago, and through 29 games, she may be the odds-on favorite this year if these numbers continue. Rachel Lawson out to talk to her young freshman, Haley Nutter. A ton of excitement around the Bluegrass about what Nutter could do throughout her career, but she's running into the stark reality, Jenny, of facing top SEC lineups.
And when you face SEC lineups as a freshman, it is a rude awakening at times to realize the discipline that is showed at the plate. And so when you face Florida right out of the gate, it makes it very humbling to realize that if you do not hit corners or extend off the plate and get swings and misses, you have to bring it back onto the plate. So a very good outing for her yesterday in terms of free passes, only that 1 strikeout, but it comes down to being able to competitively miss the zone and get the swing and miss and not have to bring the ball back over the plate like she did to Shoemaker.
And one of the things this Kentucky coaching staff has consistently said about Haley Nutter, she's the ultimate competitor. You know that every time she steps into that circle, she's soaking up the information that she's getting from these early starts in her career.
Well, she had a no-hitter in her first career start, has 2 no-hitters on the season, so there's a lot of promise for this young freshman.
That'll catch the corner. Kenley Cahalan at the plate has reached base safely in every game this season. Having a strong series so far here in Lexington. And Jenny, we've touched on it multiple times throughout the series, but you watch this Florida lineup and their discipline at the plate just makes them so tough to pitch to.
Not only is it discipline, but they're aggressive when you make a mistake over the plate, and they punish it over the wall. And that's the difference maker pitch right there. If she can continue to throw that changeup with dominance, keep it at the knees, it's going to help her so much to be able to keep these hitters off balance. We've seen that changeup be effective against Florida by disrupting their timing.
Sarah Hendigas had a lot of success with that through the first 5 innings of her outing on Friday night. 2-2 just off the plate, and the count moves full.
And this is something that Florida has been working on this year, is being willing to take the walk. It's one thing to be aggressive at the plate, but it's another thing to be disciplined enough to take the walk past the bat to your next player who can hit the ball out of the yard too.
And Cahalan does just that. The nation's leading team in terms of walks has back-to-back, now 154 on the season.
Third baseman, number 12.
So not only are they hitting with power, but they're also willing to allow the ball out of the zone to go by and not take them out of their plan and out of their swing as they lead the country in those free passes.
So you're saying, Jenny, it's really tough to be a pitcher against this Florida lineup.
It's impossible because you can't get them to swing outside of their plan. Very rarely will you see a Florida hitter get flustered at the plate and swing outside the zone.
And a big swing from Kendall Grover. Had a nice game 2 yesterday. A double, a pair of RBIs for the Eastern Illinois transfer. Talk about what she's done at the plate, but her defense all season long has been spectacular over at third. And when you're a program like Florida and you lose pieces like you did this offseason, you have the ability to use the transfer portal to just go out and reload year over year.
You're right, but there are growing pains when you go into the portal and take someone from a different conference. Sometimes the speed of the game is a little bit different and it takes some time to adjust.
Grover, hard hit to third. Donaldson couldn't come up with it. That's going to plate Erickson, and Florida has put 2 up here in the top of the first.
Just a nice hard hit on a ball on the inside part of the plate. When we watch the way that Grover has been swinging the bat lately, it's been interesting to see the way that she gets the barrel through the zone so quickly. That ball is on top of Emery Donaldson over there at first base so fast. While typically that's a catch and an out, it got on top of her quickly, and then the ball dying down to the glove side makes it a nice little hit to the outfield.
Now Haley Nutter starting Madison Walker with a first pitch strike. Walker hit a big home run in Friday night's Game 1 victory. Florida taking that game 10-2 after they broke it open late. And chases a pitch there, behind in the count 0-2.
So we're seeing some of those swings up in the zone that are getting the swing and miss hit or swing and miss. So obviously Kentucky has seen a vulnerability up in the zone, but she has to establish herself down in the zone with that drop ball to continue to get the count in her favor.
0-2 misses low for Haley Nutter. Third appearance against an SEC opponent in her young career. Hails out of Texas. Walker stays on that one and sends it to right field. Florida going station to station, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. A Florida offense that's been one of the best in the sport to begin the year. A big reason why they're 28-1 and tied at the top of the SEC standings. Townsend Thomas stepping in. Wind continuing to gust here at John Kropp Stadium. And a first pitch misses off the plate to Townsend Thomas, who enters in a career-long 13-game hitting streak, hitting close to 500 in those 13 games. That's a luxury down in the 6th spot.
Not only does she have speed to do the tap and go, but with the infield pulled in, she will be swinging away to punch this ball to the grass. Just a luxury to have this kind of hitter to be able to step in here in the 6th spot in the lineup. Tim Walton talks about how this is the future leadoff hitter for the Florida Gators, but right now gaining experience, sitting down a little bit lower in the lineup with RBI potential.
(2-0) Thomas with a big swing, fouls it off. Redshirted last year as a true freshman. She was the #1 outfielder in the class of 2024. That'll catch the corner.
Really pretty pitch. Just Nutter, you can see her glimpses of greatness right now, but it's that one miss that happens and then all of a sudden it gets punished by these Gator hitters.
Two-two, Thomas back to the netting. Haley Nutter has now allowed a home run in 3 straight games. She had not allowed a single home run through her first 41 plus innings this year. Trying to bear down and pick up an out here in the top of the first. Thomas right back up the middle. It'll roll to the wall. Tim Walton aggressive at third. The throw to the plate is in time. Walker gunned down, but Florida adds 2 more. And could we see a review here for a potential obstruction at the plate?
I mean, Grover now has a double in every single game of this series. She comes to the plate with RBI potential, and the way that she smacks the ball, I'm so impressed with the way that she just does her job with runners in scoring position. Kind of an unorthodox footwork in the box, but with the gap out in right center, the outfielder shaded toward left field, ball gets all the way to the wall. She comes in for the stand-up double. I don't know that that's obstruction. She was set up out of the way. The ball did pull her into the line that would be the advancing base runner's advancement to the home plate. But that is a rule change in terms of the wording of the rule this year. I don't know that this will be an obstruction call, but I like the fact that Tim Walton is aggressive in the first inning, trying to see if he can get this call in his favor, get another run on the board early.
There definitely has been a heavy emphasis on the setup.
Yeah, she does not step across until she receives the ball. So in my opinion, that this should not go down as obstruction. So the umpires are looking at it here through the Hawkeye system. She sets up inside the plate.
And a fielder in this position, Jenny, you have to give them a lane to score, correct?
You do need to give them a lane, but look at the way that Ella Emmert is set up before the ball takes her into the running lane. So she is set up in a way that allows the runner to advance, and then the ball pulls her into that running lane.
And so the call will stand on Tim Walton's challenge. Walker out at the plate.
The crazy part about that is it's the first out of the inning, Noah. I mean, this is the kind of offense that we anticipated by Florida, but maybe not this early, and because of that, we will see a pitching change in the circle.
Well, Haley Nutter's day is done. Rachel Lawson with an early call to the pen. We'll introduce you to her latest when we come back. Third of an inning, Sarah Hendiges, who threw a strong outing in game number 1, in the circle with a runner in scoring position and just 1 out.
Yeah, she threw 108 pitches in that opener, in that loss, had 6 strikeouts, 4 free passes.
And you look at the final line for Hendiges in that opener, and Jenny, you feel like it might be a little bit deceptive with how good she was early.
It will be, but at the same time, she's going to throw in the low to mid 60s. Her best pitch with velocity is down in the zone. And the reason that's an important piece of the puzzle for Kentucky is by keeping the ball down in the zone and mixing that with the changeup that she likes to use as well, is that it's hard to elevate that ball out of the park. And so with Florida being so dynamic with the home run, it's going to be important for her to mix speeds and keep the ball down.
The Gators offense, 6 home runs so far. The line we were alluding to, 5 innings, gives up 6 earned runs, although most of those came late in that outing. She's been a stalwart for Rachel Lawson in SEC play over the last 2 seasons. McClellan, a gap shot. It'll roll to the wall. Thomas is going to score easily. And Cassidy McClellan has the Gators' third extra base hit of this opening frame.
Well, and I'm still seeing the outfield shaded to the left side of the field. I don't know if that's because of the wind, but when you've got these strong lefty hitters up, you've got to be aware that that big hole in right field leaves you vulnerable for those stand-up doubles, because it's hard to be able to get over there and cut them off before they hit the wall.
Ellen Wesolowski, 8th batter to come to the plate for Florida in this first inning, still just 1 out. Wesolowski hitless so far on the weekend. Slow roller to short. Blum with the clean flip over to first for out number 2.
Well, that jammed up ground ball is exactly what Hendiges has been brought in to do. Keep the ball down in the zone, disrupt timing. I mean, that ball didn't hit the barrel. It jammed up Wesolowski a little bit, and so that's what Hendiges needs to continue to do. Just disrupt timing and try to get those rolled ground balls.
Debbie Comia stares at a first pitch strike. Had a nice opening game this weekend, a 2-hit performance on Friday evening.
And in looking at her stat line, the thing that jumps off is she only has 1 strikeout this season at the plate. So while she didn't get a hit in game 2, she is putting the ball in play every time at the plate.
And she'll do just that here, but goes foul. Tatum Stolting, our home plate umpire, all over that one. Stolting behind the plate, Mayer over at first, and Alex Leap at third. Comia the other way. And Jenny, those elite bat-to-ball skills deep in your lineup can be huge for Florida as they think about bigger things throughout the remainder of this season.
Well, this is definitely a table setter. When you put a hitter like Comia in the 9 spot, you're looking for her to just get on, not necessarily punch a ton of runners around.
Bounces it back to Hendiges, who goes to first for the final out of the inning. But Florida gets 4 here in the opening frame.
I mean, how do you start off a game with an exclamation point? Your first batter hits it yard. They start off with a big 5-run inning.
To the bottom of the first inning here at John Kropp Stadium. Rachel Lawson's lineup in this series finale. Maddie Anson's had a nice weekend, 2 hits for the freshman. She will bat 7th today. And the big change, Emery Donaldson back up at the top of the lineup for Kentucky after hitting 9th in the first 2 games of the series. Keegan Rothrock out there, and she's already got some strong early run support to work with.
She has been so dynamic this year, back to a little bit more form of like we saw in 2024, dealt with some upper body injuries last year, but was still the workhorse for the Gators. You will see her throw in the mid-60s. Finding ways to compete through adversity will be her issue this year, but a 5-run lead, not much adversity here today. Her swing and miss pitch is that rise ball. Expect to see it at multiple levels.
A 1 hit to first. Nice play by Walker, but ruled foul. Keegan Rothrock coming into today the nation's leader in wins with 15. 64 in her career. It's the 6th most amongst active pitchers. Jordy Fromm with the most in the country.
It's hard not to continue to call her Jordy Ball.
I know.
And it's the perfect pitcher name. So I'm excited and congratulations for getting married, but she kind of spoiled the perfect pitcher name.
Oh-2 misses wide. And I did misspeak it. Jordy Fromm almost messed it up right there. 2nd active in wins. Nyjah Kennedy with 84 entering this weekend. 15 wins this year for Keegan Rothrock. Donaldson putting together another nice plate appearance. That's something she's done well in the leadoff spot for Kentucky. Seen a lot of pitches. And Jenny, when you think about this Kentucky lineup, I think if they can solidify this leadoff spot, this lineup has a chance to take a nice step forward in the weeks ahead.
It does, and with the way that Donaldson has been at the top, I expected to see her there throughout the beginning of this series. They moved her to 9 to try to give her a little bit of a different feel, but cannot get things going as the leadoff hitter here today.
Goes down swinging.
And we talked about it early, that rise ball pitch is the swing and miss pitch. Rothrock gets her first strikeout of the game.
Keegan Rothrock picked up her 400th career strikeout in Friday night's opening game of this series. When she is on and healthy, she is one of the best pitchers in the country. It was her health that held her back a little bit last year, but you mentioned her freshman year. She was one of the elite, including a strong showing down in Oklahoma City. 0-2 quickly here to Maddie Clark. Spent the first 2 games of this series in the leadoff spot, so far hitless on the weekend. And Jenny, with a pitcher like Keegan Rothrock in the circle, when she gets ahead of you, what makes her so dangerous?
It's the additional the way she is able to mix speeds better this year makes her even harder to hit. It's one thing to be able to stay off of a pitch up in the zone and train your eye to see it down. It's completely different when you have to start deal with mixing speeds, because as a hitter, hitting is all about timing. So if your timing is disrupted, your swing is all out of whack.
1-2 on the way to Clark, who lays off. Maddie Clark taking over as Kentucky's starting shortstop to begin the year. She started all 27 at that uber critical spot. Putting together a nice at bat here early.
And last season, Clark had a hand injury that had her miss the first 20 games of the season. She is a natural shortstop. She sees angles well out there. But more than anything, they need her to get going at the plate.
Clark sends the 8th pitch of the at-bat right back into the waiting glove of Rothrock. 2 outs now in the frame. And Keegan Rothrock has been rolling lately, 6 consecutive wins. First Gator since Hannah Rogers, who was excellent back in her playing career for the Gators.
I think that was Hannah Rogers' freshman year, because Hannah Rogers played a part in Florida's very first national championship in 2014. Her and Lauren Hager combining there in OKC to get Florida their first national championship.
Peyton Plotz at the plate. Count evens up at a ball and a strike. And Jenny, you've seen this Florida team a couple of times already this weekend. You mentioned the past national championships. Why do you think Tim Walton has a team that could make a run this year?
I think it's all going to come down to their circle. Their bats have shown that they can hit off of some of the best pitchers in the country, but making sure that their pitching staff can back them up will be so important as they finish out the first.
The Wind had a lot of fun with that one off the bat of Plotz. A 1-2 inning for Keegan Rothrock here in the first. Here as we head to the top of the second inning, 28 wins so far for Tim Walton's side to begin the year, 5-0 in SEC play, currently at the top of the standings through 2 weekends. Touched on the elite offense, and Jenny, it continues to impress all weekend here in Lexington.
Definitely, the bats continue to just light the ball up here at John Kropp Stadium. 21 hits over the first 2 games. We've already seen a home run here in game 3. I think the piece of the puzzle that's maybe missing for Florida this year is consistency in the circle. They've not been tested greatly with that beginning of the season schedule. And that's a huge strikeout right there for Hendiges in the circle. First time up, Taylor Shoemaker hit the long bomb to start things off, but there, change of speed, down in the zone, gets the huge swing and miss. That changeup is a difference maker. Hendiges needs to make sure that she continues to keep it down at the knees and get that swing and miss.
I saw her do that same thing to Taylor Shoemaker back in game number 1 on Friday. Gets Erickson to pop up on the first pitch. Clark behind short, deals with the wind and makes the catch. 2 quick outs now in the inning.
Well, those are 2 potent bats that you can potentially be a little bit afraid of early in a game, and they needed to be maybe a little bit more careful around Shoemaker in her first at bat. But what a great response by Hentges to come in and get these first 2 outs here in the second inning.
Cahalan sees that one miss low, and you were talking about the pitching for Florida, and we've talked a lot about this lineup, but Jenny, I think the big key is, when does Ava Brown come back? She was such a big cog in this Florida lineup, but also was their number 2 starter. You get her back, and suddenly the sky could literally be the ceiling for Florida this season.
No doubt. Not only is she able to play the field well, but her bat is needed in this lineup. I mean, these top 3 hitters all hitting over 400. So with Shoemaker at 500, Erickson hitting 489, and Cahalan well over 400 as well. This is a murderer's row here at the top for Florida.
Grounded foul.
And you think about getting Ava Brown back, I mean, all of a sudden you become so much more dominant to be able to bring back a pitcher that's got an ERA of .49. I mean, this is a pitching staff that can use the help right now. Rothrock is not going to be able to shoulder this the entire season.
And there was some early fear that they wouldn't get her back for the year after that injury that she sustained while playing first base at the Judy Garman Classic. Had to be carried off the field, but there's been a lot of positive signs since. Tim Walton saying there is a chance that she will come back this season.
And she's another impressive bat, hitting .325 this season before leaving after the 20th game.
Cahalan stays on that pitch to left field. Anson plays the wind well for the final out of the inning. A 1-2-3 frame for Sarah Hentges. Let's head to the third. Lawson's 19th season at the helm of this Kentucky program. She's been incredibly successful, but Jenny, this year she has to go through a schedule in SEC play that could make some of the best teams in the country a little bit nervous.
I mean, very rarely do you catch a head coach that says, I wish we could play LSU and Arkansas, but those are 2 teams that are going to be buys, as you see Lawson and the Kentucky Wildcats having to face the top performing teams in the SEC this season, and their bye weekend does not come until the week right before the SEC tournament, which will be held here in Lexington.
And until yesterday, there was 2 teams on that schedule that had still not lost a game. How surprised were you to see both Alabama and Tennessee both go down yesterday?
This weekend, we've seen losses to Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas Tech. I mean, for the way that these teams have been playing this year, a little surprised, but those losses need to come. Those lessons need to be learned, and I think most coaches would agree they'd rather have those losses happen now than later in the season when it may be a little bit harder to rebound from.
Carissa Hamilton 1 for 5 on the weekend through 2 games. Jenny, you won 3 national championships. How did some of those mid-season, late-season losses help propel you and your teammate to what you guys were ultimately able to accomplish?
I think when you see the way that some of these teams have been rolling through teams, I mean, you look at Oklahoma, who's scoring double digits and hitting home runs in every single game that they play. You get lulled into the idea that the bats will always be hot. So by coming up against an opponent like Tennessee did in Mississippi State yesterday, that Mississippi game was scoreless until the 7th, until the walk-off home run in the bottom of the 7th. And so having the chance to face adversity early creates conversations that need to happen. We heard Rachel Lawson actually talk yesterday about how she needed this team to find a leader. The Wildcats did not have a player stepping up, and because of that, she felt like they had some things to talk about after the game.
Kentucky getting off to one of their best starts in recent history in the pre-conference portion of their schedule, but just 1-4 in league play coming into today. 3-2 to Hamilton, misses inside. He's been one of their offensive leaders this year, and she works the leadoff walk. I mentioned Mississippi State taking down Tennessee on the walk-off yesterday. Arkansas went off in that 7th inning, and Oklahoma's just been hitting taters all year long.
They have been. I mean, they've got so many home runs, but when you look at the way that Mississippi State played Tennessee, huge home run by Taylor Troutman in the bottom of the 7th for that walk-off against Tennessee.
That goes to the backstop as Hamilton advances to second.
And if you eliminate the crooked inning numbers that Kentucky has allowed against Florida, these games are a lot tighter. I mean, in game one, it would have been a 3-1 loss, which is a lot more easy to swallow. But then you give up the 7-run sixth, and that makes it really, really difficult. So the first inning is going to be hard to come back from, but it's figuring out how this team can respond with their back against the wall. Those are the conversations that need to happen for Kentucky right now.
Sleeman at the plate. High pop-up into right. Shoemaker comes in on it and makes the catch for out number 1. You can see the wind really wreaking havoc on these outfielders for both teams. Gusts over 20 miles per hour in the area today. Those flags just aren't whipping, are they?
No, but the thing is, the weather is warmer today. The previous 2 days have been a lot more chilly. So we've seen parkas in the Florida dugout. Today, just sleeves. They're getting used to the weather.
Yeah, I thought for a second there you were starting to sound like a Floridian there, Jenny.
Well, I grew up in Southern California, and anytime we dip below 60, I would rather not leave the house.
I definitely get that sentiment. Spent most of my life in Pensacola, Florida, so, you know, you get a little bit more colder temperatures on that side of Florida, but, you know, it gets below 60, 70 degrees, and the shorts are definitely getting put away.
You just think about it. It's the most southern school in the Southeastern Conference against the most northern school.
Hard hit to short. Cahaland over to first. Hamilton forced to stay put. Two teams that have had different starts to the season. Florida's played a lot of games at home. Kentucky, as they normally do, has had to go on the road a ton with some of the weather. I mean, there were 2 weeks where there was almost solid ice on this field back in January. But this is starting to really feel like softball weather as we see Erickson try to catch Hamilton sleeping.
Well, and back behind the dish, Jocelyn Erickson, one of the most elite catchers in our game right now. She and Reese Atwood, the top 2 catchers in the country, both seniors this year. Numbers for Erickson a little bit better than Atwood. And then you combine the bat of both of them, and they just become the most elite of our game right now. Erickson and Atwood both trying to make that 2028 Olympic team.
Both have won Catcher of the Year over the last 2 seasons. Erickson won that award in 2024. Reese Atwood winning it last year, helping lead Texas to the national championship.
When Erickson started her career at Oklahoma behind Kinsey Hansen, didn't have a ton of opportunities to play catcher there, played a lot of first base and designated hitter in that school. So the transfer to Florida has given her an opportunity to be back behind the plate so much more, and also play the field at first base while keeping her bat in the lineup.
3-1 and a walk here for Maddie Anson, who, if there has been a bright spot in this series for Kentucky, you really like how Anson has competed in the batter's box.
Anson has been the most dynamic hitter for Kentucky by putting the bat on the ball and being the most successful. She does have 2 hits in this series, and Kentucky has struggled to get a ton of hits on the board. Just 29 walks on the season for Rothrock, 2 in this inning.
So Kentucky with their first runner in scoring position in this Sunday matinee. And Jocelyn Erickson out to talk to Keegan Rothrock. Did a circle visit here. Jenny, how big would it be for Kentucky to take advantage of the opportunity that is presenting itself here in this second inning?
Well, and I think this is the part of the game that Rachel Lawson was talking about yesterday in our in-game interview, where she said she needed one of these players in her dugout to step up and be a leader. So who in the dugout right now is holding the standard? Who's calling out her teammates? Who is the one that is willing to come up and be the standard bearer for how we play Kentucky softball? And so when you sit at the bottom of the lineup, you don't always see the big hitter, the one that can put a charge in the ball, but it's right now Kentucky is looking for that one player who can be the spark to be able to motivate this offense to get things going.
We've talked throughout this series about all the changes for this Kentucky team. We primarily highlight it when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, but you've got a lot of players in this lineup being asked to play bigger roles this season. Ella Emmert, one of those players.
Well, and Ella Emmert is the only player on the infield in her same position from a year ago. Outside of Emmert and Plotz, the rest of the defense is all shifted around. So when you talk about being comfortable on the field and comfortable in the box, those are the two that this Kentucky offense and defense needs to rely on. But everybody else needs to start rallying behind, find the leader, and set the standard.
2-1 to Emmert, cut through. Does that process happen organically?
You want it to as a coach, but more often than not, what you need to do is start leadership development when everyone steps on campus. There will always be natural leaders within your group, but it's not always the natural leader that becomes the one that everyone rallies behind.
Emmert fights off a tough pitch. Keegan Rothrock off to a strong start to her outing. Sent Kentucky down 1-2-3 back in the first, but a couple of walks sprinkled in to begin the second. Two, Emmert sharply hit to third under the glove of Grover. Christine Himes will hold Hamilton at third, and Kentucky with the bases loaded.
And maybe the thing about that at bat that was the most impressive by Emmert is she actually shortened up her swing and just played pepper, trying to get that one through the infield. She wasn't over swinging. She wasn't trying to do too much with the ball. She was just trying to get a hard hit ground ball and get that result right there under the glove of Grover. Himes understands with a shallow ball to left, there's no time to send a runner. But those are the kind of at-bats that Kentucky needs to continue to string together.
And we say it so many times, just put the ball in play and things happen. Grover, one of the most sure-handed third basemen in college softball this year. Don't get the cleanest of hops, and now you have a hit there for Emmert. Alexa Riddell could really use a hit right now coming into today. One for her last 13, a freshman. So trying to make the adjustment against elite level pitching like Keegan Rothrock. That'll catch the corner.
When you talk to Rachel Lawson about Alexa Riddell, one of the things that she says is this is one of the most intentional hitters that she has, who attacks her weaknesses in the cages, but she's working so hard that maybe she's pressing a little too much.
Shallow center field. Thomas has a beat on it, and Kentucky strands three in the bottom of the second. 5-0 Florida as we head to the third. Into SEC play, Tennessee and Florida matching up next week. Oklahoma and LSU. The Tigers trying to bounce back after a slow start to the year. Texas A&M and Texas. That's going to be electric at the end of the month. Jenny, so many great early matchups in the SEC. We've seen a great series brewing down in Tuscaloosa this weekend. Alabama and Arkansas tied at a game apiece. That final game of the series today. It's a great time to be a softball fan.
Well, any time is a great time to be a softball fan, let's be honest,
Fair.
Noah. But this time of year, you definitely have a lot to watch. Make sure you've got your quad box going on your TV. Stream all of these games that are going on because you don't want to miss any of them. You never know who's going to step up against some of the heaviest hitters in our game. If you missed that Tennessee and Mississippi State game yesterday, you missed a good one. That was a barn burner. We don't see a lot of those pitchers duels anymore.
Game was 0-0 before Mississippi State hit the walk-off home run late. Karen Weekly after the game, not particularly pleased with how her team competed in that game. I said earlier in the week she knew a first loss was coming at one point, but wanted to see her team compete well in that eventual loss. Didn't feel like they did yesterday.
Well, and time called, even though it was mid-pitch in that situation, the wind blew so hard it actually blew Hendiges out of her pitching motion. So these gusts are a little bit crazy. I appreciate that Tatum Stolting recognized that she couldn't keep her balance in the wind in that situation.
A blustery day to say the least. Temperatures have warmed up here for this series finale. Strike on the inside corner to Kendall Grover, who singled and drove in a run back in the first inning. And the count moves full. Florida's lineup doing damage, particularly the middle of the lineup so far today. And Jenny, we were talking earlier about the strength of this Florida lineup at the top, but it's their balance that I think makes them such a dangerous team coming into this weekend. All 9 batters were hitting over 300. That was the most of any team in the SEC. There's just not many let-off points for a pitcher, as Hendiges gets the strikeout of Grover here.
But if you can find a changeup that continues to hit the bottom of the zone, spins hard, fools the eye, that is a difference maker against any team you can play. Because if you can get hitters out in front, keep it at the knees, you're going to get a lot more of those swing and miss.
Jenny, has the changeup become much more prevalent than it was back in your playing days?
No, back when dinosaurs walked the earth, it was still an important pitch.
You said it. Hard hit into right. Walker with her second hit. What makes these changeups, though, even harder to hit these days?
I think the velocity mixed with the changeup is the part that makes it really difficult. I played against Michelle Smith, one of our other analysts on ESPN. Michelle threw 72, so I've seen velocity. However, when you mix that with a really dynamic changeup, it makes it hard to be able to guess velocity or mix of speed. And so because of that, with timing being such an important piece of hitting, you've got to just stay a little bit more balanced. You can't swing as big and dig into the box like you can against a pitcher that doesn't have that changeup.
Thomas trying to use the short game here with Walker over at first base. Picked up her 4th double of the weekend back in that first inning. 5 for 7 this weekend, 4 doubles. That's a new career high for her in a weekend. You really do start to wonder what this Florida lineup could look like if Townsend Thomas could take over that leadoff spot. Maybe you push Shoemaker and Erickson down, put another runner on in front of them. Those RBI numbers that are already gaudy could be even better. That one's going to roll foul.
One of the things that you have to be careful with in slapping now is the fact of getting your feet in the box. Townsend Thomas a lot of times does step out of the box with that left foot coming over the line of the batter's box. It is only able to be picked up by the home plate umpire, and so it's something that we don't see called as much as it was the first year it was instituted as a rule. However, it is still a vulnerability in Thomas's game.
Lays off that pitch to even the count. Sarah Hendiges coming on in relief of Haley Nutter, who made it just through a 1/3 of an inning today. She's got a pair of strikeouts in the last 2 frames. Eyeing a third here. Thomas up the middle, and look at the speed. That ball just not hit hard enough for Clark to make a play on, and now Florida with a pair of runners on and 1 out.
And it is so difficult for an umpire to pick up the foot out of the box, but she was out of the box again on that one. Look at the speed down the line. That ball hung in the air, gave Thomas a chance to get down the line. It's just so important to be able to attack that ball hard as a defender to get the throw across the diamond. But those good slappers, they will punch the ball hard into the ground to get the ball up in the air to make it hang and give them time down the line.
Get the sense for these umpires, it becomes harder and harder as the game goes on, as that batter's box starts to dissipate, the chalk that is.
Well, and that's the part that makes it very difficult to call later in the game. The box is completely obliterated at this point, and because of that, you can't definitively say that she's out of the box, but when that left foot comes in front of the plane of the plate, you know that she's out.
Just misses off the inside corner to Cassidy McClellan, doubled and drove in a run back in the first. She was the first batter that Sarah Hendiges faced after coming in relief. Florida hanging 5 runs on Kentucky pitchers in that first inning. All 5 charged to Haley Nutter. 2-2. Changeup. Just misses.
Ooh, that was a good pitch. That one was one that I think Hendiges was relying on. I thought that was a really nice pitch inside. Now it's a hittable pitch as well, but it's a change of speed, and so as a hitter you do lay off of that.
3-2 misses low. Jenny, on a pitch like that, you let it go as a batter. What are you thinking? Like afterwards, once you hear the call of ball?
You breathe because that's the one that you know has the chance to ring you up.
So after the walk to McClellan, the base is loaded for Wesolowski. Still hitless on the weekend. Swings over the breaking ball there. A 1 off the plate, and we will hear from Florida's top man, Tim Walton, coming up. Start of the next inning. Looking forward to that conversation. Wesolowski punishes it to left field. Thomas is going to be held up. Snap throw back to third, and she hangs on to the bag. Wesolowski has her first hit of the weekend. It's a big one. It makes it 6-0 here in the third.
Well, that was a late call by Tim Walton on Thomas as she rounded third. So luckily she was able to dive back in and get back to third quickly because the ball came right as that call to stop her was made over there at third. So Tim Walton wheeling her hard, and then last second realizes that that ball was going to make it home before she could.
Comia attacks the first pitch. Plotz has a beat on it. Comes up throwing to the plate, a collision, and Thomas will be out. An inning-ending double play as Plotz guns down Thomas. Emmerich somehow hangs on. 6-0 Florida, but a stellar defensive play to end the inning for the Wildcats. Leading 6-0 as we head to the bottom of the third inning in Lexington, joined now by Gators head coach Tim Walton. Tim, your team has won the first 2 games of this series. You've got the big lead here. How impressed have you been with your batter's approach at the plate so far this weekend?
No, good. You know, like I said, you guys pre-weekend, you know, we got a lot of pitchers. You got to be prepared. You got to put the time in. You got to put the effort in, from a scout, from a planning in the cages to machines to all the work. So really good. You know, we got a pretty diverse lineup. So I think that helps us a lot. Not one hitter has the same strength system.
You're so right. And when it comes to your pitching staff, we know Keegan Rothrock really is your workhorse. What is it that got her the nod today?
Oh, it's Sunday. I don't know how to answer that. She's going to throw 2 times in a weekend. So, you know, it's a Sunday. She threw Friday great. Really, you know, pretty efficient. This is challenging today with 50 to 60 mile an hour winds for both teams. But yeah, it's Sunday. It's her ball.
Yeah, blustery to say the least. Tim, thank you.
Gators.
A 6-0 Florida lead as we head to the bottom of the third inning.
Leading off the bottom of the third, for Kentucky, your third baseman, number 99.
It'll be the top of the lineup for Rachel Lawson, Donaldson, Clark, and Plotz. If anyone can reach, Carissa Hamilton would bat 4th in this inning. Donaldson swinging at the first pitch. Comia well positioned for a quick out number 1.
And you want to find those hitters that are squaring the ball up. A really good job of just going right at Rothrock. First pitch, but unfortunately defense played her perfectly.
And a strike here to Maddie Clark. Grounded out to Keegan Rothrock back in the first inning. Keegan Rothrock making her second appearance of the weekend. Pitched in all 3 games last weekend against Mizzou. Through a total of 15 innings in that series, 3 wins. She's been Florida's ace over these last several seasons. Battled through injuries last year. Looking like her freshman self this season. 3-1 now to Clark. Jenny, as a batter, how does the wind affect you?
You just got to make sure that your eyes don't get dirt or dust in them, because you've got to make sure that you're not blinking on approach.
Clark off the end of the bat. That one looked like it wasn't going to be anywhere close to Walker, and the wind brought it back. She almost made a nice play.
Yeah, this wind is starting to get a little bit ridiculous now, because that ball looked it was going to be well beyond Walker's glove, and then it pulls in just shy.
3-2 pitch. Clark stays on it. Cahalan down, and 2 quick outs in the inning. Kentucky's hit the first 2 sharply, but nothing to show for it here in the third as Peyton Plotz comes to the plate. You get the sense that for Kentucky, they really need to see Peyton Plotz continue to step up into that leadership role on this team, offensively and overall.
Most definitely. And when it comes down to how they're attacking now in the box, they're swinging earlier in counts, which is showing they're trying to be more aggressive against Rothrock early.
We saw them have success against Florida's ace back in the 2nd inning, although a fly out to center field, stranding 3 on base for Kentucky. Plotz stays on this pitch. Shallow right field as Shoemaker comes on to make a sparkling catch. Shoemaker makes a heck of a play in right field to end the inning.
But with the wind, it made it look a little bit better than it maybe would have been. Usually that's a line drive catch. She had to dive to ring it in and bring him back to the dugout.
For both sides since 8 of the 9 Gators have been on base. It's kind of been the story of the weekend. Florida's been on base a ton over the 3 games here in Lexington. Sarah Hendiges back in the circle. 3rd full inning of work, has done a nice job of settling things down since coming on for Haley Nutter.
Been impressed with the way she's used that drop ball change-up combo to be able to get ahead of these hitters.
Base in the top of the lineup gets Shoemaker to roll over to 3rd for out number 1.
And that's a big out. When Shoemaker led off the game, she took one deep to center off of the starter, Haley Nutter. So to be able to get the ground out, to get Shoemaker for the 2nd at bat in a row, got her on a strikeout on the changeup, and there got her ahead a little bit to get a nice little ground out to start things off.
First pitch misses to Jocelyn Erickson, a walk, and a pop out to shortstop in this game. I would say a relatively easy pop out, but none of those have been the case so far today with how blustery the wind has been. Now Erickson in a great hitter's count.
Well, and Erickson's sitting on a 13-game hit streak. Is she going to be able to extend that? She has not gotten a hit in today's game.
2-0 fouled off, and Jocelyn Erickson has hit quite a few home runs so far this weekend, and they've been big ones.
Well, she had a huge blast in the first game. It was not a hitter's pitch. She went down to grab it, had a little change of speed, and then yesterday, a little more Jocelyn Erickson-like. She went oppo on the pitch, down and away. She's hitting home runs faster than any other season.
Sharply hit to 3rd. Donaldson gloves it. Looked like that one might have caught her as Erickson's retired here in the 4th.
I mean, Erickson is able to manipulate her barrel head to be able to shoot for the long ball, try to just get things going on a line. That ball was on top of Donaldson quickly, but they're able to get the 2nd out.
Denny, when you think of Erickson, where is the biggest area that she has grown in her senior year?
I think it's just her discipline at the plate. She's allowing the walks to happen, but also attacking the pitches over the plate.
Mentioned the home run numbers. Close to every 9 at-bats this year, she's hit a home run. 15 home runs on the season have tied her career high. Remarkable power for the 2-hole hitter. This is Kenleigh Cahalan. walked and scored back in the first. She scored 5 runs this weekend for the Gators in the 3 spot. Sharply hit to second, Blum with it. And a clean inning for Sarah Hendiges. We'll hear from her pitch caller, Rachel Lawson, when we come back. Joined by their head coach, Rachel Lawson now. And coach, you had to go to your bullpen early. Speak to the job that Sarah Hendiges has done settling this game down.
Yeah, she's done a really nice job. She's commanding, she's commanding her pitches, she's commanding her speed. She's doing a really good job, and we're making good defensive plays behind her. So it was nice to, it's nice to put a couple of good innings together.
We'll try not to get blown over by that win. When it comes to this series, there have been some talking points that you've had to have with your team. What did that look like yesterday after the second game?
Well, we're just not playing good softball. I'm always focused on the way that we play the game and working the process and things like that. And the last couple of games, we have not done a good job playing Kentucky softball. So it's more about getting to what we do and also enjoying the game in front of you. But doing all those things and making sure you play good softball, and then the outcome's the outcome.
Coach, appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And I think you get a pretty good idea of how hard the wind is really blowing down there on the game surface. It is blustery today. I mean, we're probably in the 100-acre wood right now, but crazy how it affects the game. Not just how the dirt plays in your eyes, but also how the ball flies in the air.
I grew up in Florida, so I feel like I can say this, but at times it's felt like there's been hurricane force winds out here in Lexington. There's been a couple of times that you and I are sitting up here in the booth and you just feel that gust come right back between the open windows.
As our paperwork flies away, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Tape is a key today. 0-1, Hamilton punishes it to left. And a stellar defensive play made by McClellan to take away a potential extra base hit.
Well, and it's on those hits that you go back to the dugout feeling like you at least did your job. While that ball was hit on the screws, it was right at a defender. But those are the kinds of at-bats that Rachel Lawson needs these Kentucky hitters to continue to bring to the plate, to find a way to play what she called Kentucky softball.
And those are the types of swings that aren't going to show up on a box score this weekend, but as you think ahead to the rest of this series and into the week, it's hits like that that can really jumpstart an offense.
Well, those are hits that you can build off of, where strikeouts and weak pop flies don't necessarily give you the confidence to be different.
Sleeman off the glove, Walker. They're going to call it a foul ball. Appeared to be the right call.
And back behind the plate, Tatum Stolting was right on top of that one. The ball down the line, blocked it up. I love the awareness, though, of Madison Walker at first base, recognizing she touched it. She probably needed to rein it in and touch first base in case that was ruled a fair ball.
There was sheer determination on that play to touch first base. Didn't feel like that ball wanted to touch the bag. All smiles over at first. Carly Sleeman, the lone extra base hit of the weekend for Kentucky. Big home run off of Rothrock. That pitch will just miss off the plate. Two, Sleeman fouls it off. And here's that shot we were just talking about, a big home run off of the Florida ace.
Well, and Sleeman has such an elevated swing plane that she has that potential to leave the yard with every swing. Because of that, there are some holes in her swing that do get attacked, but she's got the power to leave the yard.
Fighting hard here against Keegan Rothrock. Sleeman transferring over to the program in the offseason, comes from Central Michigan. Seen her in the starting lineup in almost every game this year. Catcher DP has been the rotation. Stays on that pitch, rockets it into the gap. Thomas couldn't keep it in front of her, and Sleeman gonna motor into second with a one-out double.
Just so important for her to continue to punish the ball as it's left over the plate. That ball was in a very hittable zone. That front shoulder pulled off just a tick, which got her the top spin off of it, which dropped it into the grass. So now with 2 extra base hits, they're the only extra base hits for Kentucky on this weekend.
Man, with the wind off that ball, that kind of looked like my golf swing, a massive hook.
Too much top hand.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the ball here. Erickson plays it well despite the wind.
With 2 outs, your left fielder, number 44, Maddie.
Sometimes it feels like a cue ball off the 8 ball. Some of the English were getting on these balls off the bat due to this incredibly high-paced wind as Rothrock starts Maddie Anson off with a first pitch strike.
Well, I think it's deceiving when you see just the people sitting in the stands back behind the catcher. The flag continues to be stiff out in center field. It has not taken a break.
Old Glory definitely getting its work in today here at John Kropp Stadium. Oh, 2 to Maddie Anson. Lays off. Kentucky trying to break through against the Florida ace. Has kept him off balance throughout the 2 trips to the circle in this series. We touched on it earlier, but Anson just continues to string together nice at-bats. She stays on these pitches, really fights in the batter's box.
And as a young freshman, there are always swing adjustments that need to be made, but sometimes those swing adjustments affect your confidence, so it's hard to make those adjustments in season with a young player.
1-2, Anson popped up in the infield. The wind causing some trouble. Cahalan makes the catch for the final out of the inning. Sleeman's double squandered. Florida up 6-0 after 4. This game, Taylor Shoemaker starting things off with a loud leadoff home run. Florida just kept getting clutch hitting as we've seen all weekend from them, Jenny.
It's just been impressive the way that Florida continues to swing the bats. It was a big 5-run inning for them. And while you mentioned it, that's the difference in this one, this is the best Kentucky has done in a 3-inning stretch in this series. They've brought Sarah Hendiges into the circle to really control these bats. Her changeup and drop ball have been working masterfully. You're right, the first inning was just the hiccup that Florida needed to have the advantage.
And at times throughout this series, you alluded to it earlier, it has felt that way for Kentucky. There's just been a half inning that's gotten away from them. Some of these games have gotten lopsided through the first 2.
Making sure that you eliminate the crooked number inning is so important because they're so hard to get on top of after they happen. So making sure that you rein in the damage quickly is so important.
Hendiges will work coming off of her first 1-2-3 inning back in the away half of the 4th through just 10 pitches in that inning. On in relief of Haley Nutter, the freshman who started this game, failed to get out of the first. Pitch will miss high, behind in the count now 2-0 to Kendall Grover, who drove an RBI single back in that first inning. 3 hits on the weekend for Grover. 3-0 now. And Ella Emmert out to talk to Sarah Hendiges. Good to see that she's recovered from that big collision behind the plate to end the previous inning, or that 3rd inning rather. Took a big shot there as Townsend Thomas wasn't able to slide, and there was no intent in that play. It just was a bang-bang play at the plate.
Well, Thomas was too far away from the plate to slide, and the throw took Emmert right into her running lane, so it was a very hard hit.
This one's hard hit to left. It clears the fence, but it's foul for Grover.
That ball got out of here in a hurry. Holy cow, she was on top of that pitch. Line drive out of the park, but you mentioned it, just wide of the foul pole.
(3-1). You go to the off-speed pitch after you saw the swing previous.
And it had some decent velo coming in. It wasn't her true off speed or her true changeup, so that nip of the outside corner.
3-2, hit hard. What a play by Blum. From her knees, retires Grover. We've seen her make a couple of spectacular plays at second this weekend.
That right there, top 10 Sports Center play, right? Just to be able to dive up the middle as a second baseman, gather yourself, and make a throw to first base from your knees. Fantastic glove work by the second baseman. Love that play, Allie Blum.
Blum made a big play from her knees with the bases loaded back in the first game of this series. Adds another one to her highlight reel.
Yeah, the difference between those two plays was the dive up the middle in game one. She just had to toss to second. So that one added level of difficulty, having to come up with a throw over to first.
Jenny, the question I have is, do kids these days have mixtapes?
I mean, they don't have them like I did where you had to wait on the radio. But yeah, I'm sure they do. They have playlists.
Nowadays, they just collaborate with the team account on Instagram and they're there for eternity at this point.
Exactly.
Sure that one will make it on UK's Instagram after this game. 2-1 pitch. Walker caught.
Yeah, a playlist back in the day was your song playlist. Now a playlist is going to be your highlight reel. And you hope that your media team clips those off for you.
I had a great trivia question at the ballpark yesterday talking about when the iPod was invented.
Ooh.
Early 2000s. Not the touch, the initial iPod.
Got it. Did you have one?
I didn't.
Were you alive?
Early 2000s, yes. Now, during your playing career, no. Walker to short. The front half of your playing career.
Probably all of it, let's be honest. You were not born in the 1900s.
I was, 1994.
Oh, okay, okay.
I take that as a compliment. It means I look a little bit younger than I actually am.
Exactly.
Alongside the former Arizona great, Jenny Dalton-Hill, I'm Noah Frary. I gotta admit, crossing the 30 plateau last year was a big one. I thought about that birthday more than I've thought about any other so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you feel old now?
You start to feel that way.
Nice. I'll talk to you in 20 more years.
Yeah. Thomas at the plate here with 2 outs. That one's foul.
And we've talked about it all weekend, but I'm continually impressed by just the arsenal that Townsend Thomas has at the plate. She does such a good job of short game, slap game, driving the ball in RBI situations. She is going to be a formidable force when she takes over that leadoff slot for Florida. Not to say that she's not a formidable force sitting here in the lineup. Tim Walton talked to us about how he views that 6th spot in the lineup as a second leadoff spot. He sees that that spot comes up more than any other spot in the lineup as a leadoff in multiple games. So he puts her here to be able to give him that chance to have speed and RBI power in the middle of the lineup.
And that was a change that they made in the midst of that Missouri series. She started the final 2 games in that 6th spot. Has been in that 6th spot in the lineup all 3 this weekend. 6 for 8 at the plate is Thomas rather. 4 doubles. Henniges has to back off the rubber due to the wind gust. Just kind of throws her hand up and says it's been that kind of day. Two's wild. Thomas spoils the pitch. She was the #1 recruit in the class of 2024, missed all of last season, used the red shirt. Just her first year of collegiate softball. She came into the day hitting .381. That average has only gone up. .395 now. Hard hit, Henniges fields her position and goes to first for the final out of the inning. Florida retired here in the 5th.
Fantastic glove work got him out of this one. In game one, Allie Blum with a huge play up the middle, little toss over to second. But here today, maybe the highlight play of the day.
So fun. Tim Walton was on Mic'd Up Monday last week. His team 8th in the ESPN.com softball poll, and with a strong showing this weekend, is there a chance that Florida could further move up in that poll? Bottom 2 in Kentucky's lineup, Ella Emmert leading things off. And Jenny, hard to overstate how good Florida has looked for most of this series. They really have been impressive this weekend in Lexington.
They have. The bats have been rolling. Tim Walton talked about their disciplined and aggressive approach at the plate, but we've seen it on full display here as they've just been allowed to have the ball leave the yard. They've had home runs in every single game of this series. And Kentucky has struggled against Rothrock.
There's 2 earned runs off of the Gators' ace so far this weekend. Her 16th win, came in with the most in the nation with 15 today. One, 2, hit hard. Cahalan uses the hop well for out number 1.
And I think what Coach Rachel Lawson is looking for out of these hitters is not just contact, but contact that does damage. While that is good contact by Ella Emmert, it's a pretty routine ground ball to the shortstop. For most SEC matchups, you're going to need to really put a charge in the ball to get it through the infield. And so right now, while Kentucky seems to be okay with just making contact, they need to start figuring out ways to do damage at the plate.
So Jenny, you were a really good hitter back in your day. How do you make that adjustment at the plate as a hitter?
It's about timing. Make sure that you're on time, but you have to swing with intent. It's not just about making contact. It's about swinging with velocity to make the ball jump.
High into right field. Shoemaker working underneath it. That one a little bit simpler than her last for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, while the wind has wreaked havoc on some of these hits, that one was a pretty routine play out there to right.
I think that's an interesting point you're making about these Kentucky hitters. Only 1 extra base hit in this series. And you talk about the Florida infield, one of the best in the country. If you put the ball in play on the dirt, you're going to be out most of the time.
But when you look at the lineup for Kentucky, they do have some youth mixed with experience. And when you step in a younger version of yourself, right, as a freshman or a sophomore, sometimes it is a little bit harder to swing with the confidence that's needed against these elite pitchers in the SEC. But you have to swing with intent. There cannot be just a passive swing.
Donaldson, hard hit to short. Cahalan over to first for the final out of the inning, and Egan Rothrock continuing to roll here in Lexington. Back in Lexington, where the Florida Gators have a 6-0 edge over the Kentucky Wildcats. And yes, Florida won all 3 games against Missouri last weekend, but they left a little bit too much meat on the bone, though this weekend it's been a different story, consistently coming through with those runners in scoring position.
They have 27 combined hits in the series. The bats have absolutely come alive here for Florida, but the last couple of innings, the bats have been quiet. Hendiges has done a really good job of keeping things under control.
Hendiges coming into this inning is retired the last 7 Gator batters. She came on as a firewoman back in that first inning after 5 had been put on the board. Only given up 1 earned run since. And ahead in the count here, 0-2. To Florida leadoff hitter Cassidy McClellan, who's been on base both times today. RBI double and a walk. That'll bounce for Hendiges.
And as of right now, it looks like Hendiges will be finishing out this game. There has not been any movement in the bullpen on either side. So I would anticipate that both of these aces will be just going head-to-head to grind it out to finish this one out.
1-2, fouled off. Cassidy McClellan having a big weekend here in Lexington. A couple of long home runs for her.
Yeah, huge bomb in game 1. And then in game 2, coming away with another one. A solo shot. It was the last run of the game. Secured the run rule win.
6 total RBIs for the junior out of Lakewood Ranch, Florida. She's benefited from being in the lineup more consistently this year and is really becoming a force down here at the bottom of the lineup for Tim Walton. 2-2 from Hendiges. Just low. Count moves full.
When I resonate with the fact that Tim Walton says she puts a lot of added extra pressure on herself, and that's the one thing that maybe impacts her performance more than anything else. She handles the pressure that others put on her very well, but can sometimes be a little bit too hard on herself.
Clark ranges to her left. The throw to first is not in time as McClellan beats it out. Now, let's be honest, Jenny, I think a lot of kids deal with that these days, and these college athletes, there's a lot more pressure. Things like social media and others.
It definitely is, and this play down the line, that's a tough one, but Rachel Lawson doesn't have any need to challenge that. She believes it.
So McClellan over at first base. Jenny, you've been the parent of a college athlete who's played at this level. What's the biggest key to handling some of those expectations and the pressures that you put on yourself?
The parents need to be the consistent piece. The emotions of the game will ebb and flow for the athlete, and the struggles and the situations that they're put in with their teammates and with their coaching staffs can change day to day. But as a parent, if you can stay the consistent, loving force that continues to just give guidance, but also realistic expectations for your children, is so important because they're handling a lot. And if you can just build them up, keep them solid, and let them know that you're a safe place to land, it gives them the ability to launch and be successful.
And oftentimes you forget, but for these elite D1 athletes, they're handling their classroom commitments, the travel on a weekly basis, playing in these games over the weekend, and then rinse, repeat, do it all over again the next weekend.
Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you taking care of yourself? The grades, the performance on the field, those are the pressures that you have to deal with as a student athlete.
2-2 to Wesolowski over the head of the leaping Maddie Clark. She's got hits in back-to-back at-bats, and Florida has 2 on here in the 6th.
And this is the most impressive 2 at-bats that Wesolowski's been able to string together in this series. She did not have a hit coming into today, but now in back-to-back plate appearances, she's gone to left for the hit.
So Wesolowski will be pinch run for over at first. Couple of hits as Florida goes to Allison Sparkman.
Second baseman number 10, Gabby Comia.
And Sparkman is a pitcher on the Florida pitching staff. She's thrown 8 1/3 innings with a 0 ERA, but also has been used in this pinch runner role throughout the season.
She comes on for Wesolowski over at first. Bunt laid down and foul for Gabby Comia. She's grounded out to first and lined out to an inning-ending double play back in the 3rd. It saw Peyton Plotz gun down Townsend Thomas at the plate. Kentucky with a couple of nice defensive plays in this game. We saw Allie Blum make a sparkler. Plotz with her first outfield assist of the year. Jenny, if you're the coaching staff for Kentucky, those are some of the things that you're taking out of this weekend as you regroup ahead of midweeks against Houston and then the trip down to College Station.
And if you think about it, both of those plays ended the inning. And so what you need to do then is build on that momentum in the dugout and start getting the bats going to back up those amazing defensive plays that you're seeing on the field. It's just a matter of making sure you're taking the next best step.
Grounded right back to Hendiges, goes to second for 1. That keeps the double play intact. Florida, though, with runners on the corners and one out.
And I think she had time to go to third for that play, but it comes down to thinking about where do I need to take this ball if it comes hard back to me. And she did react well by going to second, but keeping that runner off of third would have maybe been the better choice.
Yeah, I thought to your point exactly that she may have had time to go directly to third. Certainly things sped up a lot, though, on these 60-foot base paths. Good to get the sure out. Back to the top of the lineup for the 4th time in this game. Taylor Shoemaker leading off this game with a home run, but since then 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out off of Sarah Hendiges. Behind in the count here. Taylor Shoemaker having another big series. Now a career-long 12-game hitting streak. As the runner goes, Comia gonna swipe second.
Just a safe play back behind the dish. A little fake by Emmert to try to get McClellan, or not McClellan, but yeah, McClellan at third to lean off.
And Shoemaker goes down swinging for the 2nd time today against Hendiges.
It's just so important to be able to continue to use that changeup pitch, and Hendiges is so confident with it. Struck her out back in the 2nd inning on the changeup, gets her here in the 6th in a tight situation.
Hendiges trying to work around the jam. And this is what makes this Florida lineup so tough. You can breathe a little bit after you get Shoemaker, and then Jocelyn Erickson, one of the best hitters in the country, steps into the batter's box.
Well, and why is this at bat so important? Right now, Florida is 2 runs away from ending this game early. Granted, Kentucky will have the ability to come up in the bottom half of the inning, but the 2 previous games of the series have already been ended early in the run rule. And right now, with a 6-run lead, those runners at 2nd and 3rd are the difference in this ballgame.
McClellan over at 3rd, Comia at 2nd. And Jocelyn Erickson at the plate. Came into today with a 13-game hitting streak. So far 0 for 2 at the plate. 3-1 now. Hendiges, as we mentioned again, that line in game number 1 a bit deceptive. She got roughed up late in that outing, but she's been excellent so far today. Count moves full. She's given you exactly the type of outing that you would have wanted out of your ace after having to come in a tough spot in the 1st. Erickson tattoos it to center field, cuts through the wind like a skipper, and has a home run to extend the hitting streak here in the 6th. #16th of the season, and a Florida Gators fan tracked that one down out in center field.
Well, and the hard part about facing Jocelyn Erickson is she is able to spray with power. She goes pole to pole with the kind of power that she can swing with. It's her 2nd 3-run home run of the series. She's had a home run in each game of this series. She is a dangerous hitter at the plate and gives Florida the 9-0 advantage.
Hendiges rolling coming into this inning, gives up the leadoff single to McClellan, who comes around to score on the 3-run home run for Jocelyn Erickson. And I think what makes Jocelyn Erickson so impressive is that so many of her home runs come with people on base. You can live with solo home runs. You can't with 3-run bombs.
No, and you've talked about it already in this series, how each of the seasons prior to this one, she's hit 15 home runs. That home run right there actually surpasses each of the last 3 seasons she's had at Florida.
30 home runs through her first 2 years down in Gainesville, 16 this year. Putting together quite the performance this weekend, a strong senior year. Expected to be someone who could hear her name called in the AUSL draft later this year.
Yeah, those golden ticket moments will be going out starting in not too many weeks. So a lot of players are going to have a chance to be able to see their playing careers extended.
This inning will not be extended. Florida, though, gets 3. It's 9-0. Kentucky needs to score to keep this game alive. Made herself known here in the Bluegrass. A home run in all 3 games this weekend.
In game 1, it was a 3-run shot. She had to go downstairs to get it. Barely got it over the wall. It was a huge one in the 6th inning. But in game 2, she got started a little bit earlier. It was the 3rd inning, and it was a 2-run shot. Here in game 3, she went back to her old ways. 3-run shot to push Florida into run rule territory.
And in steps Maddie Clark, sky high into left for the first out here in the home half of the 6th. Keegan Rothrock trying to win her 7th straight regular season outing. So Clark retired. And now we'll see a pinch hitter here for Peyton Plotz. Rachel Lawson going to her bench. Reganoni coming in. Keegan Rothrock has done exactly what you needed your ace to do this weekend. Won all 3 in the sweep over Missouri last weekend, trying to pick up her 2nd win of the weekend here in game number 3 today. Would give her 16 on the year, a mark that would continue to lead the nation. Two-0 called a strike to Reganoni, the Troy transfer. Grew up here in Kentucky, a chance to play for the home state Wildcats as a sophomore. 2-1, a powerful swing, cuts through. Two on the way, right down the middle. Oni couldn't pull the trigger, and Keegan Rothrock picks up the strikeout.
With 2 outs for the Cats, your first baseman, number 2.
Well, and the crazy thing about that, Noah, is that's just the 2nd strikeout of the game. The first one was against the first batter, and it's taken her a while to get back to the advantage of a batter.
Trying to go the distance once again here in this series finale in Lexington. Off the end of the bat for Hamilton, Wynn knocked it down, and the inning will continue.
You see that shiner on Hamilton's eye. She got that fielding a ground ball earlier in the week in practice. She did not play defense in game 1 of this series, but was able to come back and play first base in games 2 and 3. Grateful that she's doing okay.
She's a big part of this Kentucky lineup, has consistently been the 4-hole hitter lately. Harley Sleeman batting with the runner on first. Kentucky would need to score 2 in this inning to keep this game alive. Lost the first 2 of this series by way of the run rule. Sleeman hits it down the right field line. It hooks foul. Seen some better contact for Kentucky in this frame.
And I think Rachel Lawson would say it's too late. I need to see this from the beginning of the game. Sleeman is the one hitter that continues to swing the bat with a ton of aggression. I would like to see more of that throughout the lineup for Kentucky.
1-1 from Rothrock in the dirt. Kentucky still with just 1 extra base hit in this series off of this Gators pitching staff. They've done a nice job of keeping the Wildcats off balance all weekend long.
And I think you need to tip your cap to Keegan Rothrock, who has
do.
done such a good job. She got all 3 wins at Mizzou last weekend, and here we'll get credit for 2 if they continue to hold off Kentucky in this one.
Sleeman sharply to short, Cahalan over to first, and that's the ball game. Florida has swept their first 2 series of the year, and they will end the weekend at the top of the SEC standings. A strong showing for Tim Walton's side, who are off to a great start to the SEC year.
Impressive outing for the Gators, putting up a ton of runs, a lot of home runs, so showing their power, showing their speed, and giving their pitching staff the additional run support that they would need to feel comfortable out there in the circle.
Florida fans in attendance, pleased with the performance this weekend. Keegan Rothrock earns the win in games 1 and 3. She has won 16 games on the year. And Jenny, I thought you made a great point about her earlier and her ability to change speeds, eye level. She kept Kentucky pitchers, or hitters rather, off balance throughout the entirety of this weekend.
Well, and you have to evolve as a pitcher. You can't just do the same thing in the first inning that you do in the later innings. You have to continue to evolve, change the way that you're doing it. So not only did Rothrock do a really good job of executing in the circle, but I think you need to tip your cap to her pitching coach, Stephanie Van Brakel-Prothro, who has been able to learn how to call the game for Rothrock and give her the best advantage possible.
Florida celebrating here in Lexington. Another 3-0 weekend for the Gators. And Jenny, if you're Florida, you have a ton to build off of here as you continue to go deeper and deeper into your SEC schedule.
And making adjustments is the name of the game. You have to make sure that as you play these games in the SEC, you don't carry one weekend to the next. You learn the lessons from weekend to weekend and carry those lessons with you, but don't carry the burden. Don't look in the rearview mirror as you play this game. Always look through the windshield, move forward, and stay positive as you try to attack the next opponent.
Florida has a big litmus test coming up next weekend against current #1 Tennessee. We're going to hear from Keegan Rothrock momentarily, making her way over to the mic here in Lexington after the Gators pick up the sweep on the weekend. A perfect 3-0 for the second weekend in a row. Keegan Rothrock earns 2 wins for her team. Keegan, first of all, congratulations on the 2 wins this weekend. Your junior year, where do you feel like you've grown the most as a pitcher?
Honestly, I feel like, sorry, I sound like crap. I feel like I've honestly grown the most off the field in my preparation. I really haven't changed anything that I do mechanically or pitching for that matter, but I've really worked hard of my preparation off the field. And I really feel like that's somewhere that I needed to grow for my freshman year, my sophomore year. So that's kind of really something that we've been really working hard on before coming into a series and in a game.
Well, maybe the best news is you play a lot better than how you feel you sound right now. But when it comes to your performance in a weekend, you do get the ball a lot. When it comes to that, how do you stay fresh and prepared each weekend?
Honestly, I think it's just making sure you go back and you watch your film from the first day. I think that's really important because at some point you have to look different. You can't look the same consistently. And even though if it works, like they're also watching film. So I think the biggest piece for me is like watching film and figuring out how I can be different and look different from day 1 to day 2.
Keegan, this Florida team 6-0 to begin SEC play. I know it's about the process for you guys. How excited are you with how your team has played to begin SEC play this year?
Oh, so excited. It just makes me so happy to watch them hit, to watch them play defense. And Jossie had that huge windbreaker in the 6th inning home run. It's just amazing, and it's amazing just to kind of see their preparation as well. They're doing as much as we are on the pitching side, and so it's just really fun to watch them play and to have fun and, you know, to be a Florida Gator.
Well, a complete performance from your Gators this weekend. Keegan, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Go Gators.
The Gators now 29-1 on the season, a perfect 6-0 in SEC play. They get it done here this weekend in Lexington, their second straight sweep to begin the SEC regular season. A fun weekend here in Lexington. For my colleague Jenny Dalton-Hill, our producer Daniel Gibbons, the rest of the crew braving the wind today, I'm Noah Frary saying so long from the Bluegrass.